They laughed because he didn't speak much. They underestimated him because he didn't argue back. They thought silence meant weakness, until one day, that same silence became the reason they could no longer ignore his success. This is not a story about revenge. This is a story about patience, self-respect, and the quiet power of staying silent until you succeed. Once upon a time, in a busy city where everyone competed to be louder, faster, and more confident than the rest, there lived a young man named Ethan. He was not poor, but not rich either. He was not popular, but not invisible. He blended into crowds easily, yet he noticed everything around him. Ethan was different, not because of his appearance, but because of his nature. While others spoke endlessly to impress people, he listened carefully. While others argued loudly to prove a point, he stayed calm and quiet. People noticed his silence and quickly misunderstood it. They assumed he had nothing valuable to say. They assumed he lacked confidence, ambition, or courage. In a world that rewarded noise and constant attention, Ethan's silence made him an easy target. At school, classmates joked about him behind his back. Some whispered, some laughed openly. "Why are you always quiet?" they asked, smiling in a way that felt more mocking than curious. Group discussions became uncomfortable. For Ethan, not because he didn't know the answers, but because every time he tried to speak, someone interrupted him or dismissed his thoughts. Slowly, he stopped raising his hand. He stopped explaining himself. He stopped trying to prove that he was intelligent or capable. Ethan learned an important truth very early. Speaking to people who had already decided not to listen was a waste of energy. Instead of fighting for validation from others, he turned inward. While others wasted time proving themselves to classmates, Ethan quietly began proving himself to himself. As the years passed, the teasing did not disappear. It simply changed its shape. In adulthood, the same pattern followed him into the workplace. Louder co-workers dominated meetings, speaking confidently even when they were unsure. Some took credit for ideas they barely understood. Ethan noticed how often confidence was mistaken for competence. He watched carefully. He observed how opinions changed daily, how loyalty disappeared when results were missing, and how quickly people judged without truly understanding one another. Many times, Ethan wanted to speak up. He wanted to defend himself, to explain his abilities, to say, "I am capable too." But something inside him whispered, "Wait, let your work speak." So he stayed silent, not out of fear, but out of focus. While others spent their evenings complaining about life, blaming circumstances, or scrolling endlessly through their phones, Ethan spent his nights learning. He read books when the city was asleep. He practiced skills when no one was watching. He studied quietly, patiently, and consistently. His silence became his shield. No one knew his plans. No one knew his goals, and that secrecy became his greatest advantage. He didn't announce his dreams to people who would doubt them. He didn't explain his struggles to people who wouldn't understand them. Every ignored comment, every dismissive laugh, and every moment of being overlooked became fuel. He wasn't in a race to be noticed. He was on a journey to become undeniable. If you're enjoying this emotional story and want to improve your English while learning powerful life lessons, subscribe to English Story Academy for emotional, motivational, and unforgettable stories. One day, an opportunity appeared, quietly, just like Ethan, a challenging project at work that everyone avoided. Because failure was possible and responsibility was heavy, people made excuses. Some said it was too risky. Others said the timing wasn't right. Ethan said nothing. He simply accepted the task without announcement or celebration. Weeks passed, then months. People barely noticed him staying late, asking thoughtful questions, fixing small details, and improving slowly but steadily. He made mistakes, learned from them, and kept going in silence. Until one morning, the results were revealed. The project succeeded beyond expectations. Numbers spoke louder than opinions. For the first time, the room went silent. But not because Ethan was quiet, because everyone else had nothing to say. The same people who once ignored him now wanted his advice. The same voices that laughed now spoke carefully around him. Compliments replaced mockery. Respect replaced doubt. Ethan didn't celebrate loudly. He didn't remind anyone of the past. He didn't say, "I told you so." He simply smiled politely and continued working. Success had changed how people treated him, but it hadn't changed who he was. He understood something deeply powerful. Respect that comes after. Success is very different from validation begged for before it. He never needed their approval. He only needed discipline, patience, and belief in himself. Outside of work, life changed too. Friends who once doubted him now watched quietly from a distance. Some felt inspired by his growth. Others felt uncomfortable, unsure how to treat him now. Ethan noticed the difference, but he didn't react. He had learned one of life's most important lessons. When you Stay silent while building yourself. You avoid unnecessary battles. You avoid draining arguments. You avoid explaining yourself to people who don't deserve access to your energy. Silence protects your peace. Silence sharpens your focus. Silence allows growth without distraction. Years later, when someone finally asked Ethan how he managed to succeed without anyone believing in him, he answered calmly and honestly, "They believed after. I worked before." His silence had never been emptiness. It had been preparation. While others explained their plans, he executed his. While others talked about becoming something one day, he quietly became it. The world eventually noticed him, but by then, he no longer needed to be seen, praised, or validated. He had already won the most important battle, the one within himself. Ethan learned that not every reaction deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves your response. Not every insult deserves your attention. Sometimes, the most powerful answer is silence combined with effort, because success speaks in a language everyone understands. And those who once underestimated, you will eventually understand why you stayed quiet for so long. Not because you were weak, but because you were building something stronger than words. Stay silent while you build yourself. Let success speak where words fail. If this story moved you, subscribe to English Story Academy for emotional, motivational stories that help you learn English and grow stronger every day.